Okay, whistle training as quickly as possible. How do I get my dog to respond to that instead of a verbal command? Or how do I get my dog to know what that means? People have tried to just buy a whistle, various whistles, blow the whistle, expect that the dog's going to understand or that the dog will respond to it, or the dog isn't responding to it because there's something wrong with the whistle. Look, the whistle needs to represent something, it needs to mean something. Just the same as a verbal command or a visual command that you give must mean something to the dog through a process of conditioning or a process of repeated pairing between that signal, the behavioural requirement and the consequence that follows it. Okay, so they're not going to do anything for the sound of a whistle alone. The whistle must mean something, and we teach the dog what the whistle means by pairing it. Okay, so generally we take a known command. Let's take the SIT for example. We take something that almost every dog knows. Okay, so probably the first thing that anybody teaches a dog. It should be a recall, but never mind, it's a SIT usually, or paw or roll over, but I digress. So we basically have a dog that understands the SIT command, and that results in a favourable outcome from the dog, or for the dog, so it gets fed or praised or a ball thrown or something like that. So it learns to repeat that behaviour in response to that signal. So once your dog understands that, all we simply do is we take this whistle and we blow the whistle. We give whatever the command would be, which is generally a single blast of the whistle just before the command of SIT. Okay, so we blow the whistle, give the command of SIT, the dog does it, this same outcome or expectation is fulfilled, that the dog holds, the memory that the dog holds. What we then do is we drop the verbal command. Okay, the verbal command that follows the whistle, we drop it, so we just have the whistle and the dog thinks, oh, that means I need to SIT because that's what he's going to tell me to do, or she's going to tell me to do next. So the dog performs that behaviour and we reward or praise, however, whatever floats our dog's boat, we fulfil that obligation in response to their performing that behaviour. So let me just show you quickly a quick visual. It's very simple, but a quick visual with Tilly. She's asleep at the minute, but just to show you what I mean. Till. Good girl. So first of all, we need to have the behaviour, right? Good girl. Sit. Good girl. So we've got the verbal one. Sit. Good girl. So we've got the verbal behaviour, and that's what we, where most people are. And all I'm going to release it from that, okay? So I could have, early on you go over and you praise the dog, don't you, or feed the dog or whatever for doing it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce the whistle, because I want her to sit just on the whistle command. So I'm going to call her over here. Tilly, go. Good girl. Sit. Good girl. And we'll go again. Good girl. Sit. Good girl. So the whistle just simply, and I'm going to show you again in a moment without the SIT. Okay, good girl. Good girl. Okay. So the whistle basically takes on the strength of that verbal command, of that verbal signal, right? By coming just before it, it serves to predict it. So it starts to develop significance, it develops the same relevance that verbal command itself holds. So you get a dog that responds to that because they're not stupid, and they realise that the next thing that follows is the SIT command that results in this, consequence of perform that behaviour. So basically that's how you start off with a whistle. Whatever the behaviour is, whether it's a recall and you say to the dog, come, you put a whistle just before you do that. You give the whistle command that you want the whistle command to be just before you give that verbal, and you fulfill your obligation by carrying out whatever expectation the dog holds in response to performing that behaviour.